it's Jasmine, and today we are finally back with another Battle of the Blank video. Today I'm going to be comparing all of the microfiber sponges from JUNO&Co. I am super stoked about this because I have been wanting to do this video for so long, but as you guys know, with this series it literally takes me weeks to film and to write down all of the comparisons and pretty much find all pros and cons of everything that I'm reviewing. As some of you guys know, I am a JUNO&Co affiliate, so I do have a coupon code to save you guys some money. It's ThatsSoYin at checkout. However, all of my opinions and all of my reviews are unbiased. I don't care if I'm affiliated with the brand. I don't care if the brand even knows who I am. I'm going to give you guys the real honest opinion because at the end of the day, we are all consumers and I want to make sure that you guys are trying to find the best product for you. So let's go ahead and read a little bit about the microfiber technology within these sponges. I'm also going to go ahead and reference some information on the website, so I'm going to be looking at my laptop here. But the whole point of the microfiber technology is so that you save product in your makeup routine. So whatever you use on your face, whether that's primer, foundation, concealer, powder, whatever you use, you're going to use less of it. All of their microfiber sponges that are on their website have a dual layer technology. So the first layer of the sponge consists of very small fibers that are smaller than strands of silk and hold onto any liquid product. The second layer of the sponge is your traditional I can't say this word and I've said it so many times. Antimicrobial. It won't attach onto bacteria. Antimicrobial. I am not a science major for a reason, and I am not an English major for a reason. Thank you so much. When both of these layers are combined, they give you a perfect blend and you use less product. Now, to be quite honest, my first JUNO sponge review was 2 years ago and I actually gave it a negative review. And I want to say I did use it wrong. I really did. And I wanted to correct myself and make this the official JUNO sponge review. So I decided to read some of the instructions. So when you do get your sponge, they do come in a little package like this. And in the back side, you do get some instructions on how to use it. And it says that you can use it dry or wet, but if you use it wet, you have to submerge it into water 15 to 20 seconds. So that's exactly what I did. And I also use the same amount of base products in each routine. So that consisted of my Fenty matte primer, my Too Faced Born This Way foundation in golden beige, my First Aid Beauty Bendy Avocado concealer in 2.5, my Colourpop foundation stick in dark 165N, and then I also used a little bit of the Colourpop translucent loose powder. I wanted to really make sure that you guys got a full base routine. So when I'm talking about the sponges, I'm going to be inserting how I used it and the effect that it gave my skin. All of the sponges, by the way, are $6 each, just so I don't forget. With all that information aside, let's go ahead and talk about their original microfiber sponge. Now this one claims to give you a natural airbrush foundation finish, and I felt like my original con with this sponge in that first review was the fact that it left the microfiber marks on my skin, and I felt like I got most of that when I used it dry. Now when I used it wet, I didn't submerge it long enough in the water, so it never expanded and it never got soft enough. Now if you do leave it in the water, you have to leave it in there for 15 to 20 seconds so that it really gets soft and all that water can really penetrate through the layers. Now when trying this one out again, I found that because I submerged it in a lot of water and because it was a lot softer, I didn't see those marks that I initially saw before. So if you do use this dry, you might see the same effect that I still did, because even when I use it dry till this day, I still get those marks. With this one in particular, I feel like it's a little dense for me. It's not my personal favorite texture, but I do find that if I blend slowly and I even out all of my products on my face before blending, then it actually blends out evenly, it's smooth, and my face literally looks airbrushed. But if you're somebody who likes a softer sponge, this one isn't it. I feel like this one is still a little too hard for me even when wet. When dry, it's just like the hardest sponge I think I've ever used. I think if you watch my first Battle of the Sponges video, I talked a lot about the Practic sponge, which is a sister brand to Sigma Beauty. Their sponge gave me a nosebleed because of how hard it was and how hard it was pouncing my nose. This one isn't nearly as hard as that, but it's still like on the same playing field. However, if you do like dense sponges, you will definitely like the original. I think that the blunt cut on the side really makes it easy to apply everything. I felt like with the foundation, with the concealer, it just fit everywhere. I don't think it's been a whole year, maybe it has, but they launched for an exclusive time the JUNO 2.0, and I believe they also gave this as a free gift with purchase at a certain time, and I actually still had mine, so I still wanted to review it just in case they decide to launch it again and that, you know, you have a review to rely on. Now this one does claim to be 30% softer than the original, and it also claims to have 20% longer bristles for even application. It has a breathable technology for quick drying as well. So this one is still going to be the same shape and size as the original. It's just tweaked just a little bit. Now, when I tell you that I love this one 100 times more than the original, I love it so much. This 2.0 version is something that I wish was the original. I wish that this was actually permanent to the collection, and I wish that this wasn't a limited time deal. I did feel like my foundation application was faster, it was smoother. I love the fact that yes, it was 30% softer, and I felt it immediately. I felt like because of its softness, my foundation blended in like a dream. All of the layers that I applied on my skin just looked so amazing, and I think out of all the sponges that I'm going to be talking about today, my foundation looked the best with this sponge. So it kind of breaks my heart a little bit that, you know, you can't just get this one nowadays, but I hope that JUNO&Co sees this video and they're just like, you know what, Jasmine, you might be right. You might be right there. And I hope that this actually comes out later. I know this one was more of like a test subject that they sent out to some of their customers as a free gift. But yes, if you have this, definitely use it if you haven't already. And you know, if you're waiting on it, tell JUNO&Co. That's all I gotta say. Just tell them, just remind them, hey, the 2.0 sponge, like, where is it? The next sponge that we're gonna talk about is the Rose sponge. Now I feel like this, out of all the sponges that I'm talking about, is probably like their best seller, because I feel like whenever I watch someone's video, they're always using the Rose sponge. And on a normal makeup routine, I actually use this dry with my powder to bake. But for this video, I did go ahead and wet the sponge, and I feel like this caked up my makeup, especially in the under eye area. The rest of my face was okay, but I just still felt like there were remnants of the microfiber texture just in that under eye area, which was a little strange because every morning and night I do use eye cream, so it's not like my skin is dry anywhere else. I think we all know, if you guys watch my videos, I do have an extensive skincare routine, so just to look a little dry under there is just a little concerning to me. So I don't really want to knock off points just because of that, because I do know that this sponge really works and I personally really like it. I love it to bake. I like it for my foundation for the rest of my face. But you know, just for this review, I just felt like my under eyes just continue to not look its best. Now, playing alongside the Rose sponge, they also have some mini Rose sponges that come in a pack of 2, also for $6. Now, I felt like my under eyes looked immaculate when I used these. So it's a little strange that the bigger sponge didn't make my under eyes look good, but then the smaller ones made my under eyes look the best it's ever been in a long time. So, I mean, if you do love small sponges, this is something to look forward to. I did find that the sponge expanded when I wet it, which, you know, for the rest of the sponge, they didn't really expand, they just got softer. So with these sponges, I went ahead and used the wet sponge to blend out all of my wet products, and then I used the dry sponge for my powder. And I felt like my under eyes looked so crazy smooth. I'm not over it. I seriously cannot get over how juicy and how delicious and how smooth and baby butt soft my under eyes looked. It just, I feel like no one talks about these. And they're just so slept on, and I think you might need it. I really think this is something they should just toss in the order. If you're still having FOMO from the 2.0 sponge that I was talking about, we do have a runner-up. We do have something that's very comparable, and it's going to be the Lemon Drop sponge. Now, this one actually is a little bit different because this one actually has no flat edge. So this is gonna be their one sponge that's just round all over. The bottom of the sponge is still flat, so if you do like that, then you have that option as well. But this one is claimed to be 30% softer. Right away, I felt like I could visibly see that it was not soaking up any product. I felt like all of the product was sitting right on the surface of the sponge, therefore I knew that I was not using a lot of product. My face was completely smooth, almost as if I used those mini sponges all over my face. My face just looked so flawless because it's the same 30% softness as the 2.0. I felt like I was able to complete my whole base in the same amount of time. I felt like I was just breezing through everything, and with everything completed, I finished it in around 7 minutes, which is pretty fast. The microfibers on this sponge in particular feel a lot shorter than the 2.0. I know the 2.0 did claim that the bristles were longer, but this one, just compared to all of the sponges that I'm talking about today, this one physically just feels a lot shorter. So maybe it's my favorite because it just reminds me of a normal sponge. And if I were to compare this one to my regular sponge collection, I would say that this is very similar to my Spicy Choco sponge, but without all that memory foam texture. So when I squeeze it, it's not going to take forever to rise back up. Now let's go ahead and mosey on into the last sponge, which just so happens to be the softest sponge, and that is going to be their Lavender sponge. Now this one is claimed to be 50% softer, and this is a velvet version of what I want to consider the Shop Missy Mochi blender. I felt like the texture, the bounce, everything was very similar. I think the only difference is the microfiber feel, and then the Shop Missy one just has a smooth feel. However, even though that it feels very similar to my Shop Missy sponge, this did not perform like my Shop Missy sponge. This one I felt like was the worst sponge as far as makeup application was concerned. Now, with all of my base routines, I only used one pump of foundation, and this made my foundation look cakey, it made it look balled up, and I felt like there was so much microfiber texture on my skin. And I felt like throughout that day, my face just continued to look dry and parched. And mind you, at the end of my base routine, I would always go in with a little bit of setting spray just to get all the powders sunken into the skin and make it look a little bit more soft and smooth. But even with the setting spray, my face still looked really, really cakey, and I did not use any additional products. I didn't really change anything, and I felt like it was such a bummer because this was the last sponge that I was reviewing, and I felt like my skin did not look its best. So I don't recommend this one in particular, but if you are looking for a microfiber version of the Shop Missy Mochi, then this is definitely one to look into. So with all that information, let's go ahead and do a quick synopsis of everything. So I do recommend the 2.0 if they launch it again, or if it comes as a free gift with purchase again, get it. Snatch it. That's all I have to say. But definitely on their website, go and get the Rose mini blenders. These ones are so amazing. I think these are perfect for travel, perfect for on the go too. If you have like an on the go pouch and you just have a couple of creases, you know, you can just whip one out and then quickly pounce it away. I think these are just so amazing, so cute, and I need to get more so I could toss them in my card, you know, just for emergencies. And then of course the lemon drop. This one is by far my favorite JUNO sponge of all time that's in their collection at the moment, and I'm just really excited about these. Out of the rest of the sponges, the ones that I least recommend is going to be the lavender one. That's just because of the way my skin looked, and I felt like I just continue on getting the same texture on my skin. So with that all being said, I just really cannot recommend it to you. But you know, if you do want something that's similar to the Shop Missy one, like I have mentioned like a million times already, then that is definitely the route to go towards. And as always, I am a JUNO&Co affiliate, so if you do want to use my code to save a little extra money, you can by using the code ThatsSoYin at checkout. My code is always encouraged, it's never forced. I thank you guys so much for using it though. It really helps me out, and it also helps you guys save a little bit of money as well. As always, I love you guys so much. I hope this review was really helpful, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye! Peace out, Girl Scouts.